Listen carefully. Nobody cares. That sentence sounds harsh. It sounds cold. It sounds like something you do not want to hear, because a part of you still hopes that one day everyone will finally understand you. You hope they will notice your effort. You hope they will appreciate your sacrifices. You hope they will recognize your pain. You hope they will see how hard you have been trying. But what if they never do? What if the people you want approval from never give it to you? What if the people you want to impress never become impressed? What if the world never stops long enough to applaud your struggles? Then what? Will you stop moving? Will you stop growing? Will you stop becoming the person you were meant to become? Or will you finally realize one of the most powerful truths ever spoken? Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is responsible for your future. Nobody is thinking about your life as much as you are. And strangely enough, that is not bad news. It is freedom. The moment you understand that nobody cares as much as you think they do, is the moment you stop living for other people. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop wasting energy trying to control opinions that were never yours to control. And for the first time, you begin focusing on the one thing that actually matters, yourself. Not in a selfish way, not in an arrogant way, but in a disciplined way, a responsible way, a powerful way, because your life changes the moment your attention comes back home. Look around. Every day, people are trapped in invisible prisons. Not prisons made of steel, not prisons made of walls, prisons made of opinions, prisons made of fear, prisons made of comparison. A person wants to start a business, but worries about what friends might say. A person wants to get fit, but feels embarrassed to enter the gym. A person wants to learn a skill, but fears looking foolish. A person wants to change their life, but keeps waiting for permission. Permission from who? The truth is painful. Most people are not paying attention to you. They are too busy worrying about themselves. They are worried about their own problems, their own fears, their own insecurities, their own lives. The judgment you fear is often an illusion. The spotlight you think is on you does not exist, and yet countless people spend years trapped by it. They delay action, they delay growth, they delay happiness, all because they are trying to satisfy people who are not even watching. Think about how much energy you have wasted worrying about what others think. Think about how many opportunities you ignored, how many risks you avoided, how many dreams you postponed. Not because you lacked ability, not because you lacked intelligence, but because you feared opinions. Stoic philosophy understood this long ago. The ancient Stoics knew something that modern people often forget. You cannot control the thoughts of others. You cannot control their judgments. You cannot control their approval. You cannot control their attention. The only thing you truly control is yourself. Your choices, your actions, your character, your response. Everything else is noise. Yet most people spend their lives trying to manage the noise. Imagine trying to control the wind. Imagine trying to control the weather. Imagine trying to control every wave in the ocean. It would be exhausting. It would be impossible. And that is exactly what happens when you spend your life chasing approval. You are fighting battles you can never win. The Stoics refused to do that. They focused their energy where it mattered. They focused inward. Not because they were weak, because they were wise. They understood that peace comes from mastering yourself, not from controlling others. And that lesson is more important today than ever before, because you live in a world that constantly encourages distraction, a world that rewards attention-seeking, a world that teaches people to chase validation. Look at social media. Millions of people are addicted to being seen, addicted to being liked, addicted to being approved of. Their mood depends on reactions. Their confidence depends on comments. Their self-worth depends on strangers. And without realizing it, they hand their power away every single day. The Stoic path is different. The Stoic path asks a difficult question. Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when there is no applause? Who are you when there is no reward? Who are you when nobody notices? That is where character is revealed, because discipline is not built in public. It is built in private. Strength is not built when people are cheering. It is built when nobody cares. Growth is not built when motivation is high. It is built when motivation disappears. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Anyone can stay committed when results come quickly. Anyone can remain confident when life is easy. But can you continue when none of those things exist? Can you continue when progress is invisible? Can you continue when nobody believes in you? Can you continue when the world seems indifferent? That is where transformation begins. Most people quit because they expect recognition. They expect validation. They expect encouragement. And when those things do not arrive, they lose momentum. But the person who understands that nobody cares becomes unstoppable, because they stop expecting, they stop waiting, they stop depending. Instead, they build, quietly, relentlessly, patiently, day after day. They understand something powerful. Your future does not care about your excuses. Your future only responds to your actions. The life you want is not hidden behind luck. It is hidden behind consistency. The body you want, the mindset you want, the discipline you want, the success you want. They are all waiting on the other side of repeated effort. Not perfect effort, repeated effort. And that is why focusing on yourself matters so much, because attention is your greatest asset. Whatever you focus on grows. Focus on drama and drama grows. Focus on fear and fear grows. Focus on excuses and excuses grow. Focus on your development and your development grows. Your attention is like sunlight. Whatever receives it expands. So ask yourself honestly, where has your attention been going? How much time have you spent watching other people, comparing yourself to them, envying them, studying their lives while neglecting your own? How many hours have disappeared that way? Hours that could have been invested in learning, building, training, creating, improving. The truth is uncomfortable. Many people know more about celebrities than they know about themselves. They know other people's habits, other people's relationships, other people's achievements, yet they have never taken the time to understand their own potential. And that is tragic, because your greatest project is not someone else's life. It is yours. You are the project. You are the responsibility. You are the mission. Nobody else can do the work for you. Nobody else can develop your discipline. Nobody else can build your character. Nobody else can strengthen your mind. That responsibility belongs to you. And while that sounds heavy, it is also empowering, because it means your future is not trapped. It means your destiny is not controlled by other people. It means your progress is available right now. The moment you decide to take ownership, ownership changes everything. The victim asks why. The responsible person asks what now. The victim waits. The responsible person acts. The victim blames. The responsible person adapts. Life becomes different when you stop asking why things happened and start asking what you are going to do about them. Stoicism teaches acceptance, not passive acceptance. Active acceptance. Accept reality, then move. Accept difficult setbacks, then move. Accept disappointment, then move. Always move, because movement creates momentum. And momentum creates transformation. One small action repeated daily becomes a new life. One workout becomes strength. One page becomes knowledge. One disciplined choice becomes self-respect. One day becomes a week. One week becomes a month. One month becomes a year. And eventually you look back and barely recognize yourself. Not because of one dramatic moment, but because of thousands of small decisions. This is what most people misunderstand about greatness. They think greatness is an event. It is not. Greatness is a process. A quiet process. An invisible process. A lonely process. And that is why most people never reach it. They want immediate results. Immediate praise. Immediate recognition. But transformation does not work that way. The strongest trees grow slowly. The deepest foundations are built underground. The most disciplined people spend years becoming who they are, long before anyone notices. Can you do that? Can you keep building when nobody cares? Can you keep improving when nobody applauds? Can you keep showing up when nobody believes? Because that is the test. That is always the test. The world rewards visible success. But success is built during invisible effort. Every powerful person you admire spent countless hours alone, working, learning, failing, improving, repeating, while others were distracted, while others were entertained, while others were waiting. They were building. That is why their results look extraordinary. The results are visible. The sacrifice was not. The achievement is visible. The discipline was not. The outcome is visible. The process was not. And now it is your turn. Your turn to stop watching. Your turn to stop waiting. Your turn to stop wishing. Your turn to start becoming. Because every day you delay, time continues moving. Every day you hesitate, life continues moving. Every day you procrastinate, opportunity continues moving. Time is not stopping for you. Life is not pausing for you. The clock continues ticking, whether you act or not. That realization should wake you up. Not scare you, wake you up. Because you still have time. You still have choices. You still have opportunity. But only if you stop wasting energy on things you cannot control. Focus on yourself. Focus on your mind. Focus on your habits. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your growth. Focus on your future. Let other people think whatever they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them laugh. Let them judge. None of those things determine your destiny. Only your actions do. Only your consistency does. Only your character does. At some point you must make a decision. You must decide whether you will spend the rest of your life seeking approval or building yourself, because you cannot fully do both. One path leads outward, the other leads inward. One path creates dependency, the other creates strength. One path creates anxiety, the other creates freedom. The choice belongs to you, and every day you make that choice again, every morning, every hour, every moment. You either move closer to your potential or further away from it. You either strengthen your discipline or weaken it. You either build your future or neglect it. There is no neutral ground. The Stoics understood this. Life is happening now, not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, now. And the person you become tomorrow depends on what you do today. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for confidence. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for rescue. Nobody is coming. And that is exactly why you must rise. You must become the person capable of carrying your own future. You must become stronger than your excuses. Stronger than your fears. Stronger than your comfort. Stronger than your old identity. Because your old identity created your current life. If you want a different life, you need a different identity. An identity built on action. An identity built on responsibility. An identity built on discipline. Not occasionally, daily. Not when you feel like it, daily. Not when circumstances are favorable, daily. That is how transformation happens. That is how ordinary people become extraordinary. One disciplined day at a time. One uncomfortable choice at a time. One promise kept to themselves at a time. Eventually something incredible happens. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing recognition. You stop caring who notices. Because you become obsessed with growth itself. You become obsessed with becoming better than yesterday. You become obsessed with building a life you respect. And that is when true freedom arrives. Not when people admire you. Not when people praise you. Not when people approve of you. But when you approve of yourself. When you know you kept your word. When you know you faced discomfort. When you know you showed up. When you know you earned your progress. That feeling cannot be bought. It cannot be given. It must be earned. And it is worth everything. Years from now, the opinions you feared will not matter. The judgments you worried about will not matter. The criticism you obsessed over will not matter. But the person you become will matter. The habits you build will matter. The discipline you develop will matter. The life you create will matter. So remember this. Nobody cares as much as you think. People are busy living their own lives, fighting their own battles, carrying their own burdens. And that is not a tragedy. It is an opportunity. An opportunity to stop performing. An opportunity to stop pretending. An opportunity to stop seeking permission. An opportunity to finally focus on yourself. Because the moment you stop chasing attention is the moment you gain power. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you gain freedom. The moment you take responsibility is the moment your life changes. So start today, not next week, not next month. Today, take one action, then another, then another. Build momentum, build discipline, build yourself, and keep going even when nobody notices, especially when nobody notices. Because the version of you that you dream about is not created by attention. It is created by effort. It is created by sacrifice. It is created by consistency. It is created by discipline. And one day, after months of struggle and years of persistence, people will look at you and wonder how you changed so much. They will wonder where your confidence came from. They will wonder where your strength came from. They will wonder where your discipline came from. But you will know the answer. You stopped focusing on them and finally started focusing on yourself. There comes a moment in every person's life when excuses stop working. Not because the excuses disappear, but because the consequences become impossible to ignore. You can tell yourself that you will start tomorrow. You can tell yourself that you need more time. You can tell yourself that life has been unfair. You can tell yourself that circumstances are holding you back. But eventually, reality arrives. And reality asks only one question. What have you done with the time you were given? Not what you intended to do. Not what you planned to do. Not what you dreamed about doing. What did you actually do? That question makes many people uncomfortable, because deep down they know the truth. They know how many mornings were wasted. They know how many opportunities were ignored. They know how many promises were broken. Not promises to others, promises to themselves. Those are the promises that hurt the most. You promised yourself you would become disciplined. You promised yourself you would stop procrastinating. You promised yourself you would take your goals seriously. You promised yourself this year would be different, yet somehow the same patterns returned. The same distractions, the same excuses, the same habits, the same comfort. And little by little, another year disappeared. This is how most lives drift away, not through dramatic failure, through small acts of neglect. A few wasted hours each day, a few broken commitments each week, a few months of waiting for motivation, a few years spent living below potential. Nothing looks dangerous at first. That is why it is so dangerous. The biggest threat to your future is rarely one massive mistake. It is 1,000 tiny compromises. 1,000 moments when you choose comfort instead of growth. 1,000 moments when you choose distraction instead of focus. 1,000 moments when you choose later instead of now. The Stoics warned about this. They understood that life slips away quietly, not loudly, quietly. One day becomes another. One week becomes another. One season becomes another. And before you realize it, years have passed. The tragedy is not that time moves quickly. The tragedy is that most people do not notice it moving. They live as though they have unlimited chances, unlimited mornings, unlimited opportunities, unlimited tomorrows. But that is an illusion. Every sunrise is one less sunrise than you had before. Every year is one less year than you had before. Every moment is something that can never be recovered. Think about that. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose a job and find another. You can lose possessions and replace them. But time?
Time never returns. Not 1 hour, not 1 minute, not 1 second.
The ancient Stoics treated time like a sacred resource because they knew that life itself is made of time. Waste your time and you waste your life. Protect your time and you protect your future. Yet modern life encourages the opposite. It teaches you to consume endlessly, to scroll endlessly, to watch endlessly, to react endlessly. It trains your attention to become weak, and a weak attention creates a weak life. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is scattered, your progress becomes scattered. If your attention is focused, your progress becomes focused. This is why focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Your future depends on it. Imagine 2 versions of yourself. The first version spends every day reacting to messages, reacting to news, reacting to opinions, reacting to trends, reacting to distractions. The second version spends every day creating discipline, creating habits, creating skills, creating strength, creating a better future. Now imagine both versions 5 years from today. Which one do you think has transformed? Which one has confidence? Which one has peace? Which one has control? The answer is obvious. Yet every day people choose the first path, not because they want to fail, because they never become conscious of their choices. They drift. And drifting always leads somewhere. Unfortunately, it rarely leads somewhere good. The truth is simple. You are becoming someone every day. Whether you realize it or not, every habit is casting a vote. Every action is casting a vote. Every decision is casting a vote. You are voting for the person you will become. The question is this: who are you voting for? The disciplined version of yourself, or the distracted version, the focused version, or the comfortable version, the strong version, or the weak version? Your daily choices answer that question. Not your intentions, not your goals, not your words, your actions. Actions reveal truth. A person can talk about success all day, but if they never work, their actions reveal the truth. A person can talk about discipline all day, but if they avoid discomfort, their actions reveal the truth. A person can talk about changing their life all day, but if they remain trapped in old habits, their actions reveal the truth. The Stoics believed that character is revealed through action, not appearance, not reputation, not status. Action. Who are you when life becomes difficult? Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when excuses are available? That is your true character. And the beautiful thing about character is that it can be strengthened. Just like a muscle. Every time you choose discipline, it grows. Every time you resist temptation, it grows. Every time you do what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like doing it, it grows. Most people wait to feel ready. That is their mistake. You do not become disciplined by feeling ready. You become disciplined by acting before you feel ready. The feeling comes later. Confidence comes later. Momentum comes later. The action must come first. Think about how many opportunities you have lost waiting for confidence, waiting for certainty, waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment never arrives, because perfection is not real. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be fear. There will always be discomfort. The question is whether you move anyway. That is what separates people who transform from people who remain stuck. One group waits. The other group acts. One group dreams. The other group builds. One group complains. The other group adapts. One group talks about change. The other group becomes change. The difference is not talent. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not luck. The difference is action. Small actions repeated consistently. That is the secret. Not a complicated secret. A simple one. Simple, but difficult. Because the human mind loves comfort, it seeks the easiest path, the easiest task, the easiest decision, the easiest escape. But growth exists in the opposite direction. Growth exists where resistance exists. Growth exists where effort exists. Growth exists where discomfort exists. Every meaningful achievement requires sacrifice. Every meaningful transformation requires struggle. Every meaningful goal requires patience. There is no way around that. The sooner you accept it, the stronger you become. Many people spend years trying to avoid discomfort, years trying to avoid challenge, years trying to avoid effort, and ironically they create a harder life, because avoiding short-term discomfort creates long-term pain. Avoid exercise today, face weakness later. Avoid discipline today, face regret later. Avoid responsibility today, face consequences later. The pain never disappears, it simply changes form. The Stoics understood this deeply. They trained themselves to embrace necessary discomfort, not because they enjoyed suffering, because they understood its value. Discomfort is a teacher. Discomfort reveals weaknesses. Discomfort reveals excuses. Discomfort reveals potential. Every time you face something difficult, you discover something about yourself. You discover how strong you really are. You discover how resilient you really are. You discover how much more you are capable of becoming. But only if you stop running. Most people never discover their true potential because they never test it. They stay inside comfortable boundaries, comfortable routines, comfortable limits, comfortable identities. They spend years living far below what they are capable of achieving. Not because they cannot do more, because they never demand more from themselves. Demand more from yourself, not because the world expects it, because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the person you could become. Imagine meeting the strongest version of yourself, the most disciplined version, the most focused version, the most courageous version, the version that refused to quit, the version that mastered distractions, the version that embraced responsibility, the version that kept going when things became difficult. Would that version recognize you today? Would that version be proud of your daily habits? Would that version admire your current standards? Or would that version challenge you to do better? Deep down, you already know the answer. And that answer should not discourage you. It should ignite you. Because the gap between who you are and who you could become is where your opportunity lives. Every day you have a chance to close that gap. A chance to become stronger. A chance to become wiser. A chance to become more disciplined. A chance to become someone you respect. That opportunity exists today. Not someday, today. The danger is believing you have endless time to begin. That belief destroys countless lives. People wait for next Monday, next month, next year, the right circumstances, the right mood, the right opportunity. Meanwhile, life keeps moving. The clock keeps moving, and potential slowly turns into regret. Do not let that happen to you. Do not become someone who spends their future wishing they had started sooner. Become someone who starts now, even imperfectly, even fearfully, even slowly. Start. Because action creates clarity. Action creates momentum. Action creates confidence. The life you want is built through movement. Not contemplation alone, not wishing, not waiting. Movement. One step, then another, then another. Until eventually, the person you once dreamed about becomes the person staring back at you in the mirror. And when that day comes, it will not be because people cared about you. It will not be because people believed in you. It will not be because the world suddenly became fair. It will be because you decided to believe in yourself enough to keep going. Even when nobody was paying attention. Even when progress was slow. Even when the journey felt lonely, you kept moving, you kept building, you kept focusing on yourself. And that changed everything. The hardest battle you will ever fight is not against another person. It is not against circumstances. It is not against bad luck. It is not against the economy. It is not against your critics. The hardest battle you will ever fight is against the version of yourself that wants the easy path. The version that says later. The version that says tomorrow. The version that says you deserve a break. The version that wants comfort without effort. Results without sacrifice. Growth without discomfort. That version lives inside all of us. It whispers every day. It appears when the alarm clock rings. It appears when the workout becomes difficult. It appears when the work becomes boring. It appears when nobody is watching. It appears when nobody would know if you quit. That is when the real battle begins. Not in public, not in front of an audience. In private, within yourself. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to suffer. It is not. Discipline is about remembering what matters most. When you are tempted to quit, discipline reminds you of your future. When you are tempted to procrastinate, discipline reminds you of your goals. When you are tempted to settle, discipline reminds you of your potential. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. Think about that. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen trust in yourself. Every time you follow through, you strengthen confidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, you become more reliable in your own eyes. That matters more than most people realize because confidence is not built by positive thinking. Confidence is built by evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you can handle difficulty. Evidence that you can stay committed. Evidence that you can finish what you start. The reason many people struggle with confidence is simple. They keep breaking promises to themselves. They say they will wake up early. Then they don't. They say they will exercise. Then they don't. They say they will focus. Then they don't. After enough broken promises, something dangerous happens. They stop believing themselves. Their own word loses value. And when your word loses value in your own mind and your self-respect begins to erode. The Stoics understood the importance of integrity. Not integrity in front of others, integrity in front of yourself. Can you trust yourself? Can you rely on yourself? Can you keep your commitments when nobody is forcing you? These questions determine the quality of your future, because life becomes easier when you trust yourself. You no longer need constant motivation. You no longer need constant encouragement. You no longer need someone standing over your shoulder. You act because you said you would act. You move because you decided to move. You continue because you made a commitment. That is power, real power. Not power over others, power over yourself. And self-mastery changes everything. Imagine a person who cannot control their emotions. Every criticism affects them. Every setback crushes them. Every obstacle discourages them. Every inconvenience ruins their day. Now imagine someone who has trained their mind. Someone who remains calm under pressure. Someone who remains focused during chaos. Someone who remains committed despite difficulty. Which person do you think accomplishes more? Which person do you think experiences greater peace? Which person do you think becomes stronger over time? The answer is obvious. Yet most people spend years trying to control the world instead of controlling themselves. They want circumstances to improve. They want people to change. They want life to become easier. The Stoic approach is different. Instead of demanding a better world, they become stronger. Instead of demanding easier conditions, they develop greater resilience. Instead of complaining about reality, they prepare themselves for it. This mindset creates freedom, because your peace no longer depends on external events. Your confidence no longer depends on approval. Your motivation no longer depends on perfect conditions. You become stable, grounded, resilient, and resilience is one of the most valuable qualities you can develop. Life will test you, not once, many times. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. There will be disappointments. There will be moments when nothing seems to be working. Moments when progress feels invisible. Moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. What will you do then? That is the question that matters, because anyone can stay committed when life is rewarding them. The real test comes when life offers no immediate reward. Can you continue working when results are delayed? Can you continue learning when improvement is slow? Can you continue believing when doubt appears? Can you continue moving when nobody notices? That is resilience. And resilience is built one challenge at a time. Every obstacle is an opportunity. Not an opportunity to complain, an opportunity to grow. Every difficulty is training. Every setback is preparation. Every challenge is a chance to become stronger than before. The Stoics viewed adversity differently than most people. Where others saw problems, they saw practice. Where others saw obstacles, they saw opportunities. Where others saw suffering, they saw growth. This perspective changes everything. Because when you stop seeing difficulty as an enemy, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, you become capable of extraordinary things. Think about your own life. Some of your greatest lessons came from painful experiences. Some of your greatest growth came from difficult moments. Some of your greatest strength came from challenges you never wanted. At the time, those experiences felt unfair. At the time, those experiences felt frustrating. At the time, those experiences felt painful. But looking back, many of them made you stronger. Many of them taught you lessons success never could. Many of them revealed strengths you never knew you had. This is why focusing on yourself matters so much. When you focus on yourself, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" You start asking, what can this teach me? That single shift changes your life. Victims ask why. Builders ask what next. Victims look for blame. Builders for solutions. Victims stay stuck. Builders move forward. The choice is always available. No matter your circumstances, no matter your background, no matter your challenges, you can always choose your response. That is your power, and nobody can take it away. The world can take money. The world can take opportunities. The world can take comfort. But your response remains yours. That is why the Stoics placed such importance on the mind. Because everything begins there. Your actions begin there. Your habits begin there. Your future begins there. If your mind is weak, your life becomes fragile. If your mind is strong, your life becomes resilient. This is why mental discipline matters so much. You must learn to govern your thoughts. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your belief. Not every emotion deserves your obedience. Many people live as servants to their impulses. They feel something and immediately react. They think something and immediately believe it. They experience discomfort and immediately escape it. As a result, they remain controlled by circumstances. The disciplined person is different. They create space between feeling and action. They create space between emotion and response. They create space between impulse and decision. Inside that space, freedom exists. Inside that space, wisdom exists. Inside that space, self-control exists. The more you develop that space, the stronger you become. Imagine how much your life would change if you stopped reacting automatically. Imagine how much energy you would save, how many mistakes you would avoid, how much peace you would gain. Self-control is not weakness. It is strength. It is the ability to remain in command when others lose control. It is the ability to remain steady when others become chaotic. It is the ability to remain focused when distractions surround you. That ability is becoming increasingly rare, and because it is rare, it is valuable. Most people are distracted. Most people are reactive. Most people are emotionally driven. If you can master yourself, you immediately gain an advantage. Not over others, over your former self. That is the only competition that matters. The person you were yesterday. Can you become better than that person? A little stronger, a little wiser, a little more disciplined, a little more focused. If you can do that consistently, your future becomes impossible to recognize. Not because of one giant breakthrough, because of daily improvement. Small improvements seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they become extraordinary. A single workout changes very little. Hundreds of workouts change everything. A single page teaches little. Thousands of pages transform your mind. A single disciplined choice seems small. Years of disciplined choices create a completely different person. This is why patience is essential. Many people quit because they underestimate the power of consistency. They expect dramatic results immediately. When those results fail to appear, they lose faith. But nature does not work that way. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A child does not become an adult overnight. A masterpiece is not created overnight. Everything meaningful takes time. Why should your transformation be any different? Trust the process. Trust the repetition. Trust the daily effort. Not because it feels exciting every day, because it works. Even when you cannot see it working. There will be days when progress feels invisible, days when you question yourself, days when you wonder whether the effort is worth it. Keep going. Those are often the most important days, because anyone can continue when enthusiasm is high. The person who continues when enthusiasm disappears becomes unstoppable. And that is who you are becoming. A person who does not depend on feelings. a person who does not depend on motivation, a person who does not depend on approval, a person who acts because action is necessary, a person who remains committed because commitment matters, a person who understands that success is not built through intensity alone. It is built through consistency, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until eventually the habits become your identity, the discipline becomes your identity, the focus becomes your identity, and the person who once struggled to stay committed becomes the person others admire for their commitment. Not because they are special, because they stayed consistent long enough for transformation to occur. This is your opportunity, not to impress the world, not to gain attention, not to collect approval, but to become someone you respect, someone you trust, someone you can depend on, someone who remains steady when life becomes difficult, someone who keeps moving forward regardless of circumstances. Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship in your life is the relationship you have with yourself. Strengthen that relationship. Honor that relationship. Protect that relationship. Keep your promises. Raise your standards. Focus your attention. Master your habits. Train your mind. And continue becoming the person you are capable of being all along. The world may never fully understand your journey. The world may never fully appreciate your sacrifices. The world may never fully recognize your effort. That does not matter. What matters is that you know. You know the battles you fought. You know the discipline you developed. You know the growth you earned. You know the person you became. And that knowledge is worth more than any applause the world could ever give. There is a day coming in your life, a day that will arrive whether you prepare for it or not, a day when you will stop and look back. You will look back at the years you lived, the choices you made, the habits you repeated, the opportunities you took, the opportunities you ignored. And in that moment, one question will matter more than almost anything else. Did you become the person you were capable of becoming? Not the person other people wanted you to be. Not the person society expected you to be. Not the person who spent their life chasing approval. The person you were truly capable of becoming. That question is powerful because deep down, you already know your potential is greater than your current reality. You know there is more inside you, more discipline, more courage, more focus, more strength, more resilience, more greatness. The problem is not that potential is missing. The problem is that potential demands a price, and most people spend their lives avoiding that price. They want the reward without the sacrifice. They want confidence without challenge. They want success without discipline. They want growth without discomfort. But life does not work that way. Everything valuable requires something from you. Strength requires effort. Wisdom requires experience. Discipline requires repetition. Growth requires discomfort. There is no shortcut. There never was, and there never will be. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you stop wasting time searching for easier paths. The easy path is usually the path that leads nowhere. It feels good today, but it creates regret tomorrow. The difficult path often feels uncomfortable today, but it creates pride tomorrow. Every day you stand at that crossroads, comfort or growth, excuses or responsibility, distraction or focus, weakness or strength. You may not notice those choices, but they are shaping your future. One decision at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time. This is why focusing on yourself is one of the most important decisions you can make. Because your life becomes whatever you repeatedly give your attention to. If your attention constantly belongs to other people, your own life suffers. If your attention constantly belongs to entertainment, your goals suffer. If your attention constantly belongs to distractions, your future suffers. Attention is power, and wherever power flows, results follow. Ask yourself honestly, what has been receiving most of your attention? Has it been your growth, your discipline, your goals, your future? Or has it been things that add no value to your life? Things that leave you exactly where you are. The uncomfortable truth is that many people are exhausted, not because they work too hard. They are exhausted because they waste too much energy. Energy worrying, energy comparing, energy complaining, energy seeking approval, energy focusing on things they cannot control. The Stoics refused to waste energy that way. They understood something most people never fully learn. Your energy is limited. Your attention is limited. Your time is limited. Spend those resources carefully. Spend them where they create growth. Spend them where they create strength. Spend them where they create peace. Because every moment spent focusing on things outside your control is a moment stolen from your own development. Imagine what would happen if you reclaimed that energy. Imagine if every hour spent comparing yourself became an hour spent improving yourself. Imagine if every hour spent complaining became an hour spent building. Imagine if every hour spent worrying became an hour spent preparing. How different would your life look? How different would you look? How different would your future become? The answer is obvious, and that is why responsibility is so powerful. Responsibility returns power to your hands. The moment you take ownership, you stop waiting, you stop blaming, you stop depending, you stop hoping someone else will fix your life. You become the builder, the architect, the creator, the leader. Your life becomes your responsibility. And that realization changes everything. Because once you understand that your future is your responsibility, excuses lose their power. You stop asking who is going to help you. You start asking what you need to do next. You stop asking why life is difficult. You start asking how you can become stronger. You stop asking for permission. You start taking action. Action is where transformation lives. Not in intention, not in desire, not in motivation. Action. There are countless people who want a better life. Far fewer are willing to earn it. Wanting is common. Working is rare. Dreaming is common. Building is rare. Talking, doing is rare. Become rare. Become the person who acts. Become the person who follows through. Become the person who keeps moving when others stop. That is where greatness begins. Not greatness in the eyes of the world. Greatness in your own character. Because character lasts longer than recognition. Recognition fades. Status fades. Applause fades. Character remains. The discipline you build remains. The habits you build remain. The mindset you build remains. Those become part of who you are, and that is why the journey matters so much. The goal is never just the achievement. The goal is who you become while pursuing it. A person who builds discipline gains more than results. They gain self-respect. A person who develops focus gains more than productivity. They gain control over their life. A person who embraces responsibility gains more than success. They gain freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from dependency. Freedom from regret. That freedom is priceless. Most people spend years searching for freedom in the wrong places. They search for it in money, in approval, in possessions, in status. But true freedom begins within. It begins when you no longer need external validation to feel worthy. It begins when your confidence comes from your actions. It begins when your peace comes from your character. It begins when your focus comes from your purpose. That kind of freedom cannot be taken away, because it is built from within. The Stoics knew this. They knew that the strongest person is not the one who controls others. The strongest person is the one who controls themselves. Can you control your emotions? Can you control your habits? Can you control your impulses? Can you control your attention? Can you control your actions? If you can, your life changes. Because life is ultimately the result of repeated actions. Your future is not created by what you occasionally do. It is created by what you repeatedly do. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Repeated beliefs become actions. Repeated actions become habits. Repeated habits become character. Repeated character becomes destiny. That process is happening right now, every day, whether you realize it or not. The question is whether you are directing that process intentionally or allowing it to happen by accident. Do not live by accident. Live deliberately. Choose your habits deliberately. Choose your standards deliberately. Choose your actions deliberately. Choose your future deliberately. Because nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can live your life. Nobody else can fight your battles. Nobody else can fulfill your potential. That responsibility belongs to you. And that responsibility is a gift, because it means your future remains in your hands, not in the hands of critics, not in the hands of doubters, not in the hands of circumstances. In your hands always. There will be difficult days. Days when discipline feels hard. Days when progress feels slow. Days when your old habits try to pull you backward. Expect those days. Do not fear them. Do not be surprised by them. They are part of the process. Every meaningful journey includes resistance. Every meaningful transformation includes struggle. Every meaningful goal includes obstacles. The obstacle is not proof that you should stop. The obstacle is proof that you are moving. Keep going, especially when it becomes difficult, especially when results seem distant, especially when nobody notices. Because those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that separate dreamers from builders. Those are the moments that create identity. Every time you refuse to quit, you become stronger. Every time you choose discipline, you become stronger. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you become stronger. And eventually, something incredible happens. The things that once felt difficult become normal. The discipline that once felt impossible becomes routine. The habits that once required effort become automatic. The person you wanted to become starts appearing in your daily life. Not all at once, gradually, quietly. One decision at a time, one day at a time, until one morning you wake up and realize something. You are no longer the same person. The person who constantly procrastinated is gone. The person who needed approval is gone. The person who feared discomfort is gone. The person who kept making excuses is gone. In their place stands someone stronger, someone more disciplined, someone more focused, someone more resilient, someone who trusts themselves, someone who respects themselves, someone who knows exactly what they are capable of. That transformation is available to you, not because you are special, because you are willing. Willing to do what most people avoid, willing to face discomfort, willing to take responsibility, willing to remain consistent, willing to focus on yourself. That willingness changes everything. Years from now, people may notice your success. They may notice your confidence. They may notice your discipline. They may notice your strength. But they will not see the countless mornings you chose effort over comfort. They will not see the countless moments you resisted distraction. They will not see the countless battles you fought within yourself. You will know. And that is enough, because the greatest reward was never recognition. The greatest reward was becoming the person you were meant to become. So remember this. Nobody cares as much as you think they do. People are busy with their own lives, their own fears, their own struggles, their own goals. Stop seeking their approval. Stop waiting for their attention. Stop depending on their validation. Focus on yourself. Focus on your growth. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your habits. Focus on your future. Focus on becoming stronger than yesterday. Focus on becoming wiser than yesterday. Focus on becoming more disciplined than yesterday. That is where your power lives. That is where your freedom lives. That is where your transformation begins. The clock is moving. Life is moving. Your future is being created right now.
Not tomorrow.
Not someday, right now. Through your choices, through your actions, through your habits. So make a decision, a real decision. Not a temporary burst of motivation. Not another promise you will forget. Tomorrow. A decision.
A commitment, a standard.
Decide that from this moment forward, your attention belongs to your growth. Decide that from this moment forward, excuses no longer control you. Decide that from this moment forward, you will stop living for the approval of others. Decide that from this moment forward, you will become the architect of your own life. And then prove it, not with words, with action. Not for a day, for life. Because one day, you will look back at the person you are today, and you will barely recognize them. Not because life became easier, not because people finally cared, not because the world finally gave you permission, but because you stopped looking outward for answers and started building inward. You focused on yourself. You mastered yourself. You disciplined yourself. You transformed yourself. And in doing so, you created a life that no opinion, no criticism, and no obstacle could ever take away. That is the power of focusing on yourself. That is the power of Stoicism. And that is the power that has been inside you all along.